Hello, welcome to the show, 15 Minutes of Fame with Dawn Branch. I'd like to say thank you to my sponsors, twinkletoesapparel.com in Georgia. These wonderful sandals that say Twinkle Toes. And they also have leotards and tights, all the wonderful accessories, even charcoal pouches that you can place into your dance bag. We have a new sponsor tonight, Spirit and the Word Ministries. My friend Pastor Herrera and his lovely wife, Minister Kim Herrera. They gave me this wonderful bag. Isn't it nice? So I'll put my dance stuff in here. Put my choco. Look, leotards. Well, I'm not wearing leotards, but you know what I mean. My dance stuff. Thank you, Spirit and the Word Ministries, and thank you for watching the show. Bye. 15 Minutes of Fame is looking for you. So if you're an industry professional and you want to share your journey, contact me at dawnbranchworks@gmail.com and we'll get your story shared right away. Thank you.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame with Dawn Branch, where we bring industry professionals into your home where they share their success of their career and their journey. Tonight's guest is Miss Erin Barnett of the Windy City, Chicago. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You are gorgeous, by the way, I must say.
Thank you, so do you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so she's a dancer, guys. She's a dancer, she's a choreographer, she's a director, a business owner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes. What else are we missing? What else do you like to do, Miss Erin?
Well, I'm definitely have been bitten by the producer bug now that will be my first world debut of a show that I have done from concept creation, directing, all the choreography and putting it all together by myself. This is the first time ever. So now I'm just like, oh, I want to do more of this.
Yes. So we're going to talk more about that at the end of the show. So
Perfect.
Proud of you. It takes a lot of work, and I know I've been there to do it, but I can't wait to hear about your process.
Okay.
Let's begin with the formative years of dance training.
Okay.
Ballet, tap, jazz, all of that, right? So go ahead,
Yes.
let's listen.
It started, I mean, I don't know how typical it is, but Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie. And I was just captivated. I was like, wait, she's glamorous and I want to do that. Tap my mom, like, give me some dancing lessons at 6. You know, back then she looked in the yellow pages and found the Southside Dance School, infamous dance school, the Mayfair Performing, what was it called back then? The Mayfair Dance Academy. It's changed names a couple of times. And I was enrolled in combination ballet and tap.
Okay.
And it was just, it felt like home. It felt like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. A few years at Mayfair go by and a teacher introduces me to another studio, Joel Hall. So I started taking classes there. At 11 years old, I'm leaving my wonderful, comfortable community of dance with, you know, lots of ethnicities, but mostly African American. And now I'm like the only one. Maybe there was a Black boy, but I was just like, okay. But this is where I needed to be. I mean, I knew right away that this training was far more intense, far more rigorous than what I had been doing. I had been having fun and, you know, living my best life. But now I'm in like a royal blue leotard. And then the next level is burgundy and then Black. And so I see this progression. And, you know, from there, I'm like, okay, there are not a lot of Blacks here. So I don't know at that age, if I really understood what that meant, but I just loved classical ballet. I loved it. And, you know, my first love, of course, was tap. And I still kind of took tap classes here and there, but my focus was, okay, point shoes, let's go, partner.
Gosh.
Like the whole thing, like a Black bun head, 100%. And so, going through middle school, like, I think we talked about being in the Nutcracker. And for me, the Nutcracker in Chicago was a huge deal. Okay. The Ruth Page production of the Nutcracker was held at Erie Crown Theaters, big deal. And the year that I was selected, usually because there are children in the cast, there are two casts, A and B. And the year that I was selected, all of a sudden there are three casts of Claras. So I'm 12 years old and I'm just putting the pieces together like, okay, I was too good. Like they couldn't just not give me the part, but now there are three Claras. So instead of having 12 performances, I have 8. So that was a harsh lesson. Still a wonderful experience and something that I will always cherish. But that's when I started to realize, okay, life isn't fair for a brown girl. Like we're gonna have some challenges along this journey. And so, I had enough of that. I mean, I really had some situations in that school, from a girl, plucking my hair out, just curious. And I'm just in shock, like, what is this child doing? And years later, it dawns on me like, that was not appropriate. And, as an adult, you can recall these situations where you wish you had a voice or you wish you understood the magnitude of what was going on. Perhaps it was innocent. Perhaps she, was curious about the texture of my hair.
Mhm.
But at the same time, don't touch somebody's hair. Your mom should teach you that.
Wow.
So there
So,
were a lot
yeah.
of lessons, but my commitment to this training, I didn't let that push me out of the school. I wasn't going to let that, deter me. I knew I was there for a reason, and I got the best training for me.
Thank
And
you for that.
yeah,
Because
it
I
was
was
such,
going to ask you, since this is like a teaching platform,
yes.
um, what advice you would give to brown dancers in an environment like that. But you pretty much said it,
Yeah,
you didn't let it stop you, it didn't let you deter
right.
you from your focus. Yeah. So anything you want to add to that?
Well, I just think, the space that I've created is for girls, I call it a safe place to dance, not just safe in terms of, you know, the health crisis that's going on now, but safe emotionally. You know what I mean? Because if I had to tell my, 12-year-old self what to do in that situation, it would just to say respectfully, please don't touch me, or please, respect my boundary. If you have a question, we can talk about it verbally, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to pluck a hair
Yeah.
literally out of my head and think that that's okay. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tough. It's a very tough situation, but it starts to build that awareness. And yeah, it's just something that, you
Mm-hmm.
get stronger in as you mature.
Thank you. I want to briefly talk about point shoes and age development and how you feel and all of that. So let's talk about the young student who's, I want to be on point. I want to be on point. Can you give me 3 factors to determine whether or not they're ready to get on point?
Well, first, I would say, in terms of age, I would discourage anybody under the age of 12. So 12 is where we can start to look at, okay, are you in at least 2 to 3 classes a week of ballet, just in your flat shoes ballet training? And have you done that for the past 2-3 years, right? So definitely more than like once a week ballet classes, over 12. And then there's a series of exercises, your ankle strength, doing slow elevates from parallel, making sure that the ankle stability is there. Because a lot of girls, I have students that have beautiful feet, but the ankles are just Bambi. So we have, okay, you're going to spend 6 months with this TheraBand, and then we're going to reevaluate, to see if you're really ready, because they think it's beautiful. I'm like, you ready for your toes to be jacked up? Like,
Oh no.
yeah, like it's
Mm,
really a commitment. It's
yeah.
not just an experience, it's a
Okay. What
commitment.
about shoes? What are your preference?
Well, shoes have come a long way since my first pair of shoes.
Yes.
I still am old school, so I discourage young dancers or beginning point dancers to have, shoes like Freeds or Gainer Minden. First of all, don't spend that much money on shoes that are just your first pair. So
Right.
I think that Block has a pair. What's the name of it? I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's really good for a training shoe. Um, and it's really a try on. It's not a one size or one shoe fits all. You really need to go in the stores, set up an appointment, and it might take 30 minutes to an hour, and really work with a point shoe fitting specialist to determine that best fit for you and your foot.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's the exciting thing, you could be like, oh, it's my point shoe fitting day. We definitely did that as a studio, and they were through the roof. And I'm just sitting back like, wait till you get to that first class, and that first blister and that
That's
first
so funny.
everything. But it's
Yes.
fun to share their excitement.
Thank you. Okay, so you've grown up, you've in ballet, you've graduated from high school, you've done Clara probably 12 times.
I know, right?
Right? So now you're heading to school, college or career. So what was your thought process?
I grew up in the 90s, and I know that shows like A Different World changed my idea about college. Being in the dance world at that time, not discouraged from going to college, but it's like, okay, you got to get these years in as an apprentice so that you can, get into a company. But I was like, two things. I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU because of my experience
You
being
knew. Sorry.
you already know. And so I knew I was ready to dive into a fully melanated experience. I was done with the bun heads and the microaggressions. So I wanted that experience. I only applied to Howard and Spelman. So it was like, okay. And I got in, and at that time, Howard was the only one that had a dance major. So that made my decision. And I went to visit as a senior in high school. I had never seen so many gorgeous brown people in my life. I was like, oh, this is where we're going. So that was my decision, and hands down, one of the best experiences of my life.
Awesome. Thank
Yes.
you. So I know that Debbie Allen has some affiliation with the school.
Yes.
Is that where you
alum.
met her first? Did she?
I
No?
met her when I went to LA. So I
Oh,
always
okay.
say that, every job that I got in my professional career was a direct result of someone I met at Howard or an instructor at Howard. Literally. So, when people are picking these schools, I'm like, choose wisely. And I'm not here just to advocate for Howard. I mean, I am, but,
Yeah.
choose a school that has an alum network that you can rely on and use as your resource, because that's what it's there for. That's what,
Yeah.
you're using those connections, people that have gone on before you. So yeah, we didn't meet until
Till
years.
later on. Okay, so then after college, you graduate. Did you get your master's as well?
Oh, no,
In
no,
the
no, no,
same
no,
time?
no.
Okay.
The one degree was enough. Okay.
Okay.
And, um, I encourage my dancers now, if they want to go to college and pursue dance, I tell them to major in business and minor in
Oh,
dance. Yeah.
okay.
You don't need, if you're going to be a dancer, you're going to dance. You're going to find a way to take classes. You're going to know, how to get through the audition process. But running your life is a business, especially now. You need to know how to market yourself, how to, understand your finances and what you need to do. And those are the things that I wish I had considered. Not instead of being a dance major, but maybe a dual major, or, a minor in business, something like that, because no one has ever asked me for my degree, ever. I don't even know where it is.
Really?
No one.
Oh, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Teacher certification, dance degree. Are they equal in your mind? Since you're saying nobody even asked, so should someone spend all that money on a degree or just get the certification, you get the same job? What are your views?
Well, the teacher certification is for people that want to teach. I wanted to dance and I
Okay.
wanted to have a Howard experience. So I knew that I wanted to be in a space to give me that maturing process. Like
Okay.
I wasn't ready to go out into the real world,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
probably still wasn't ready when I was
That's
forced
funny.
out, but
Yeah.
I needed that time to mature, understand how to make relationships and, you know, how to really find what my voice was, like what I wanted, which company I wanted to. I needed that 4 years to see as much dance as I could. And luckily, being in DC, I saw, everything at the Kennedy Center from
Mm-hmm.
Sheva to Garth Fagan. That's really the first time I was introduced to that company. And I did end up going there right out of college because I met him while I was at Howard. So that was a connection. But in terms of the teacher certification, I think if you're just committed, that that is your passion and purpose, get the certification because you're going to gain tools that you need to teach. Teaching is very different than a dancing performing career. And while I use my experiences as a performer to help me teach, it's a different avenue for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would still advocate for a college experience because people from the ages of 18 to 21 need a safe space to mature.
Well said. Oh, well said. Okay, you hear that, kids?
Yes.
Uh, go to school.
The world is always going to be there,
Yeah.
and, they're like, well, I can go to school later. Yeah, but,
Yeah.
you want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Okay.
people.
So now you end up in LA. How did that happen?
Yes. I was tired of being cold in Rochester for 4 years.
That's the truth. Yes.
And one of my very good girlfriends, Bethany Strong, who I met at Howard, we were like this. I mean, in classes, we would get separated in ballet. Like it was we just had a very strong bond. She had just booked her, I don't know, fourth or fifth movie. And
Ooh.
yes, and was like working with Janet. She was like, girl, Kativa, come out here, be in the palm trees. I literally flew to LA. I had an appointment for headshots the next day. The following day, I had an agent, all because of this one person. Like every gig, I tell people, LA is a beast. And if you don't know anyone, good luck. It's really not about your talent. You have to be at the right, if you're not gonna get, hand walked on like I did, you have to be in those choreographers classes. You have to be in their faces. And that could take years. It's really a different monster now. You have to have a certain amount of followers on Instagram. People look at all of these things. That's why I say the business aspect of college, learning how to market yourself, those are the things that are going to help you get recognition beyond your talent.
Okay.
Even when I was there, they say LA was fashion over function and New York was function over fashion. Well, even now, it's still fashion and facade and all of the things, that really determine whether or not you're going to get a job. So it's tough. It really is tough.
Okay. And it's also expensive in terms of, I know you have the flight there, then you have a room share, but then you also mentioned you had to get your photos, you had to get a reel. So let's talk a little bit about that, about how much
Okay.
a kid or student would have to spend just to get that whole package together.
Wow. I'm trying to remember how much I had saved for this process because I knew I was going to have to get an apartment, which was first and last.
Mhm.
And, the first week, I think I stayed in a hotel. I
Oh,
needed
wow. Well, where
somewhere.
was your girlfriend? Why didn't it stay?
Well,
What
that,
world?
I didn't want to get there. I ended up staying with her, of course, but I wanted to kind of like just,
Okay.
do
Yes.
this, stretch, and before I got into the hustle of it. So I had saved money for a hotel. I knew how much the headshots were going to be, which I'm sure, nowadays people are doing headshots with their iPhones.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can slice that one off the list. But, headshots still are around that 150, price. And then, getting an agent while you don't have to pay for that. You just have to go to the open call audition, but you have to know where it is. You have to have the right outfits. My friend was like, don't come in with leotards and jazz shoes. I was like, what do you mean? So you have to wear outfits like you're going to the club. I was like, the club? So
Can I just
here
say,
I am.
wait, hold on. I just interviewed Big Les, right?
Oh yes,
She
yes,
said, girl, I went to that. They had fishnets,
yes,
thongs. Coming from New York, she had what you had, you know, her
correct.
leotard. What?
Yes. And it literally got to the point, one audition, you know, I was like, and here I am with a degree, begging for a job in fishnets and a thong and a bra.
Please, okay.
I'm sorry, is that too much? Because I was
So
like, Lord, is this what we're doing? And because God is a good God,
funny.
you know, I made all the cuts, and then it did that movie, you know, it wasn't for me because it wasn't for me.
Yeah, it wasn't for you.
It
Good
wasn't
point.
for me. But yeah, I would say, you know, definitely stack at least $2,000 before you even make that.
Woo! Okay.
And that's, you know, my first apartment was in Sherman Oaks. I thought I was, you know, I don't know what life I was living, some Sex in the City, Carrie
Okay.
Bradshaw life. But, you know, that first and last rent was, I think, $2,000. And then I was like, oh, I can't afford this, because you book a job, you don't get paid for that job till 30 days after. So, you know, during one of those ones, I was realizing, oh, I did the job, but I'm not going to see this money for another 30 days. I was in LA. I went to Debbie Allen's Dance Academy. I was like, okay, let me start taking some ballet classes, because this commercial life may not be for me. And I literally walked in there. She was there. And I was like, Miss Allen, I was like, you went to Howard. I went to Howard. I need a job. And I was subbing 2 classes that night.
Shut up.
No joke. Like,
Okay, so wait, so there was no trial class. Walk us through that process.
so I took ballet class with this woman, a ballet instructor. Her name was Madame Allah. She was Russian. She remembered me. She was the sugar plum when I did Clara in Chicago, doing that Nutcracker.
Oh,
I
what?
wasn't just to take a risk. See, that's why you got, you know, it's really divine timing. I literally walked in to take ballet class. I would start talking to her, and I'm like, you look so familiar. And, you know, she remembered me. The only reason I can probably think of is because there was only one chocolate Clara. And, you know, the sugar plum and Clara, you know, we had to stand there for a number of, you know, pieces and Chinese and, you know, all the things. And we would just, you know, get to talking. And she remembered me. So at that moment, she was there to vouch for me. And she was like, oh no, hire this girl. She's good.
Oh my God.
I know, I was like this, and then I was like this,
Right.
because I went on, you know, I taught at the academy for like 3 years. I was doing the Summer Dance Institute in Fort Worth, Texas. And I was doing that for, you know, 2-3 summers. So I was getting to meet students from everywhere. It was really enchanted. When I look back on it, I'm like, some of these things that happened were, I mean, struck out of a crystal ball. It was just like the stars were aligned, and it really is, you know, that numbers game, and just having a good enough reputation so that someone, when it's your time, someone can vouch for you.
Yes, yes, yes. I love this story. Okay.
She's a huge inspiration. Like, and again, it leads back to that Howard training, you know, her working with Mike Malone, I worked with Mike Malone. It's that pedigree, and that, you know, that level of professionalism that was instilled in both of us. So I just, you know, maybe that's kind of, having that gave me the confidence to even approach her, because the other
Yes.
half, she was like, are you really about to do this? And it was like a now or never, like, girl, she's on the way out the door and you may miss this opportunity.
Love
So,
it.
yep.
Love it. I love your story.
Put my bison panties on and make it happen. And
Oh
it worked
God.
out.
Okay. So now you went from LA. Now you're
Mhm.
back to the cold north. Now you're in Philly.
Yes.
What happened? What had
So,
happened was,
and it's gonna come back to Howard. While I was at Howard, my ballet instructor was Joan Myers Brown. Okay.
okay, yes.
And so because my level of ballet from being in Chicago was high, there was not a level for me at Howard for in terms of ballet. You know, I got to Howard and, you know, the first day of school, the director told me that nobody wanted a chocolate ballet bunny on the back row of their core. So my whole world, right, first day of school, okay? So I was like, okay, the world of modern dance and African, you know, I just was like, I have to lean in. I have to use all my technique and make it work. And so Joe Myers Brown was my ballet teacher, and she was like, here, she literally took out a blank check and said, go take class at Washington Ballet because you're not going to get what you need here. And I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps now because when does that happen? Who does that? JB does that. And so years later, I'm in LA and she calls me, anyway, we start talking. She's like, I need a girl. I'm losing a girl whose name was Dawn at the time. Swear to goodness, like insane, right? And without an audition, which also never happens, I was on a plane and I was dancing with Danko.
What a life. Now, how many years did you spend there? And I want to ask you, any advice for young students trying to get into a company that's not as huge as Ailey, but does the same significant amount of work? I mean, their work is equal, they're phenomenal, but they just, so any advice if, you know, for kids who are saying, I want to work, but I know they can't pay me like Ailey, tell them how to figure it out. If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. And I think, you know, if you look at it, the track record of the amount of dancers that started at Danko that went to Ailey,
right?
You would want to
it
get
is
yourself,
Ailey.
You know what I'm saying? Like it seemed like a straight pipeline. Like for me, yes. I knew that I love New York. I love the pulse of the city, but I didn't want to live in the city. So I love just to go visit and get it all in and then go back, you know, somewhere else. So that was never really an aspiration for me. I don't know why. I was just like, Danko for me, you know, JB was like, you know, Aunt Jones. So I was just happy to dance for her. And it, honey, if I heard that I was doing something too balletic one more time, God rest her soul, Debbie Chase, now I can look back on it and realize that they were trying to push me even further than what my ego told me that I was already giving, you know, enough. I'm like, you realize you're not hurting my feelings by saying that. So for young dancers, first I want to say, always check your ego because there's always something to learn. And investigate companies. Like, don't just go for the big names because, you know, would you rather be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond? And these ponds are not small because they were at the time touring quite heavily. You know, we spent many 4 and 6 week tours in Europe. All right. Nice. So I was able to really do the darn thing with, you know, with Danko and I, you know, also with Garth. So it's just like, find a company that you like the rep, you like the director, and you know someone and that can give you firsthand experience of what your typical day is like. You know, are you going to have class twice a day? Do you need to get a job on the side? Do you, you know, where, you know, what neighborhood is it good to live in? So do your research and, you know, things are so available right now. You can see the roster of dancers, follow them on Instagram, ask them a question on DM. Dancers are really sweet. Nobody's going to be like, you know, they're going to help you. So do your research.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask a little bit, switch gears and talk a little bit about choreography with you.
Okay.
We haven't touched upon it yet, but is it safe to say that you kind of found a voice with Philadanco in terms of how to choreograph, or was that something you learned from Howard too?
You know, I wouldn't say at Howard. At Howard, I was just working, being in front of the camera. I would say it's a culmination of working with, being in a company where there's a sole choreographer, you get to really learn a process. So that really taught me how to how to create something. And then it's from, being in a company where there's many choreographers, you get to see a lot of different processes. So it's kind of just borrowing from whatever works for me at the time. Now I'm finding my voice, and most of the things that I've choreographed have been on pre-professionals. So, I still now wonder what some things would look like on a professional, all professional bodies or a professional cast. So, there's room. There's
There's
room to
room
grow.
for, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, speaking of cast, okay, the Lion King cast.
Woo!
Boom. So now you're all in. You're in New York now.
All
You're
in.
almost in, right. So now go ahead, and how did all that happen?
So I spent my timeline is typically 4 years. It was like 4 years at Howard, 4 years with Garth, 4 years in LA, 4 years with Danko, and left the company, auditioned for Lion King, I believe in August. And in November, I got the call. It was like the day after Thanksgiving. And so one thing I always want to tell my dancers is that you have to have a spirit of expectancy, because every day I was like, today's the day I'm going to get the call. Today's the day. And with a show like that, you don't know if you're going to be on tour. You don't know if you're going to be on Broadway. You don't know. There could be, emergency, swing, audition or call. And so when I got the call, it was for the original cast of Las Vegas.
Okay.
So they didn't move the party girl to Las Vegas, Lord Jesus.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm back on the West Coast, and that also being part of a process of mounting a show was an incredible experience. I mean, from, they flew me to New York and measured literally every inch, they measured from this to this, like all of the costumes, all of the wigs, everything was custom for me. And I was just standing there like, this is unreal. So it was a dream come true. Total dream.
So let's talk mounting a show and percentages or points in a contract. Was that something that they were doing back then? Now, what do you recommend for young kids getting into a show that's just getting started and you're part of that core group of dancers? Is there room for points at that level?
My advice is just get the gig.
Okay.
Just
don't worry about
honey, because when you see that first paycheck, you're gonna be like, it's Black Friday every day,
Okay.
I always encourage my dancers to get their vocal lessons, because if you have a chance, once you're in the cast, I have seen someone go from an ensemble to Simba. He started as an ensemble. But you may start as a dancer, but you sing, you get a role as Shinzi, or there's room to grow once you're in the show. So my advice is, first, get the gig, and then you can navigate a path for yourself, create a path for yourself, and sky's the limit. Don't just get comfortable,
right?
Because doing the same show, 10 shows a week can get very comfortable, but the first thing is just get that foot
in the door,
and the whole body roll in
before
the door.
Before you come with your
don't
contract.
worry about points, right? And then start saving your coin, because like this happened. Lion King was really the only family show on the Strip, and one day we were called into a meeting, and they said, Cirque's buying our theater, we have 1 year, and that was it. And people were like, we're buying homes, and you have to be prepared, because that show could end. You don't know.
Anytime.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So you finished with that, and now
Yes.
you're back in school again. You're now a professor.
Yes. So
talk about how where the university was. And
I came back to Chicago. I started teaching just at different studios, really just kind of relaxing. I'm like, okay, I wasn't sure if I was officially retired from performing. I did have an injury, so I was like resting that. And just kind of feeling it out. Like, what is this next chapter about to give? And someone that I knew when I worked with Garth happened to be the director of the dance program at Northwestern. And it was a phone call, send your resume, and that was it. So it's like, once again, the circles of networking and the impressions that you leave on people when you're working together, those last and those will follow you. Once he found out I was in Chicago, he was like, oh, come on, let's I need it. Because also I can teach jazz, I can teach Horton, I can teach ballet, I can teach, multiple things. So it's not like, all right, well, I can only teach modern, or I can only teach this.
Right.
So that helps to make you more employable, is being able to teach multiple styles of dance. And I've been at Northwestern since 2015. As an adjunct professor, I love it. The students are so hungry and engaging. I have, students now that I've seen from freshman to senior year and graduate, and they're on the Broadway tour of Tootsie. And I'm just like such a proud mama, that like I can see their development and now their success. And it's a really good feeling.
Well, congratulations on that. That's like full circle. I mean, you did
Totally
it
full
all.
circle.
I love it. Okay,
Yep.
I'm
I
excited for
wanted to name
you.
my dance studio Full Circle, actually. So it's,
Did you really?
know,
Well, you
yep.
named it Black Girls Dance, right? Is that the name of it?
It's so interesting. Like, that happened when I came back to Chicago and I was teaching. I kept running into these girls that were fabulous. And I was like, oh, surely you dance with this company or that, I won't get specific, but with these main, the big name companies here. And they were like, no. I was like, that's weird. And, once I started going to performances, I'm like, oh, these performances look exactly how they looked 15 years ago. And you go on the website and there's still just the one Black. And so I'm like, this is ridiculous. I want to give these girls jobs. Like, if I have to bring in one of my choreographer friends and create like a 2-week experience where we learn rep, and I, get a theater, and you have this one night only chance to live your best life on stage, because they started getting ready to get into the teacher circle. I'm like, no, you are still time to dance. You can teach later. I didn't want them to just give up that dream. So that's why I started Black Girls Dance, was to fulfill that dancer who wanted to pursue dance professionally and never got the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, you're doing great things in Chicago, so much so that Fox News actually did an interview with you. So hold on, audience. Yes, hold on, audience. Take a look at this.
The voice of change. Are you hoping to take your family or someone special to a Christmas concert, musical, or play this holiday season? If so, there are a lot of options all around the city and suburbs, including Mary, a mother of a king. It's a danceicle. Black Girls Dance will be performing the show December 19th at the Logan Center of Arts. Erin Barnett, the founder of Black Girls Dance, is joining me to tell us all about the organization and the danceicle, a word I had never heard until this weekend. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First, I want to talk about, what was your inspiration for Black Girls Dance?
Well, as a Black dancer, I just knew the difficulties and how challenging it can be for a career path. And I wanted to help dancers of color navigate that journey. I thought Black Girls Dance would be the perfect way for me to advocate for Black dancers and to provide training and to showcase their talents and create performance opportunities. And that's what I did with Mary.
That's so awesome. Let's talk more about Mary. What can audiences expect when they see this performance?
Well, like you said, it is a holiday danceicle. So a danceicle is not exactly a musical. It's high energy choreography with scripted dialogue and stunning visuals. So there's something to captivate the attention of our younger audience members. There's a live violinist making an appearance during the angel scenes. So it's just a different kind of theater experience, but something that the family can enjoy. And I'm just so excited to be back in theaters.
These young girls are talented too. Looking at this video here, I'm seeing tumbling, some points, some ballet.
Oh, yes.
My
There's
goodness.
everything, ballet, hip hop, tap, everything.
Bright futures for all of them, indeed. Speaking of futures, what else is coming up for Black Girls Dance?
Well, so many things in store for us for 2022. First up is our minis conference for dancers age 7 to 11. We accept dancers starting at age 3. So if you have little ones dancing around the living room all the time, go to our website, blackgirlsdance.org, and sign them up. Our winter registration starts January 11th. And we have our 5th annual Black Girls Dance Conference happening in June, as well as our spring concert that will also be at the Logan Center for the Arts. So all the information is on our websites. Tickets are available on blackgirlsdance.org, and I am so excited.
This is so awesome, and kudos to you for bringing dance to these young ladies. I took jazz, tap, and hip hop when I was in middle school. So dance is really, it's a good outlet. It's therapeutic.
Absolutely.
It helps you escape some things in real life that's going on. So definitely kudos to you for exposing them to this world of dance. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much.
Keep us posted. Looking forward to hearing more about the
Absolutely.
organization and Mary, the Dancicle. The Dancicle. I like saying that. It's a fun word. Thank you so much, Erin Barnett. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. I know.
It's so weird, you know, when you see yourself on TV, you're like, oh, okay.
So how did that happen for you?
Well, I'm producing my first evening length. It's a holiday dancicle, which, you know, people love. They're like, what is a dancicle? I'm like, well, it's like a musical without live singing, you know. It's more focused on choreography and storytelling. So people are having a lot of fun saying that word. They're like, it's so fun to say. I'm like, yes, it's a holiday dancicle. And really just through the help of a wonderful PR agency, learning now that, you know, being a social media presence is not just enough. You need help, and you need to enlist the help of people that are, you know, experienced with these things. So shout out to Jill Chuckerman for getting, I know, I love her, for making that happen. We have another interview coming up the day before the premiere of Mary with WGN, another local station here. They're gonna actually come into the studio and get some rehearsal footage and interview me and the dancer that's playing Mary. So I told my kids, I'm like, y'all better get it together because we gonna be on TV. So.
Yes, congratulations.
Here we are.
So I want the audience to take a look at your beautiful website. So one moment,
thank you.
let's share this. Okay, so here's your website, Black Girls Dance.
Yes.
Beautiful. So look at this.
That's the second Black Girls Dance Scholarship winner in the middle.
Which one? Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. And what is her name?
Sasha Bass. She's currently a student getting ready to graduate from NYU. She was gifted, or she was awarded the $1,000 annual scholarship. I know. So she's doing great things. And the other woman with the yellow leotard is Paige Fraser, who is now in Lion King.
Oh, congratulations.
I love being able to help and support young dancers and to share their excitement on their journeys.
Yes. Okay. And then here's the scholarship information you talked about. Yes. Is this her here? Okay.
Well, no, that's a different girl.
That's a different girl.
Okay. Yes. I've been a teacher of hers since she was very small. And now she's playing the angel in Mary. So I'm really, you know, if you're in my circle and in my network, you're going to be on stage. So
yeah.
But I'm excited. This year or 2022 will be the 5th year for this scholarship. So I'm hoping through, you know, donations and all the attention and press that we're getting that we can hopefully offer 2 $1,000 scholarships instead of 1. So that's just a goal.
Very nice. And this is the Mary here. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about your creation and your whole process and how you came up with the whole idea?
So while I was at Howard, I know all roads lead back to Howard, right?
Yes.
I had the honor of being in Black Nativity that was choreographed and directed by Mike Malone. He's a legend. And, you know, dancing at the Kennedy Center was already just like, oh my gosh. But that show was so magical. And so I just cherish those memories so much. I was like, I want to do something like Black Nativity here in Chicago. And so I started investigating and I'm like, well, Black Nativity has already been done. And one day as I'm driving, I swear I get all these ideas as I'm driving. That's like my creative, like mobile office. And I just got the idea, Mary, the story of a teenage girl who finds out that she's gonna have a baby who's gonna be our savior, and what that must have been like. You know, I want to always make stories relatable to what my students are going through now. Um, Hopefully not teenage pregnancy, but definitely being faced with, you know, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Do I have the support that I need? Do I feel that I'm, you know, I have a solid spiritual foundation that I can, you know, trust and rely on the guidance of God? So I was like, this is it. And then the cast just started coming to me. I'm like, you know, I've been the young lady who's on the flyer. I've been her instructor for a number of years. So I'm like, her, I know him, he can be Joseph. So it just all started coming together. And you know, this is the first time I've ever put together a show start to finish on my own. I mean, I have help, I have a creative team, but it's me. It's me.
It's you. Well, the girls look wonderful in the video. I mean, well
It's gonna be a
trained.
good show, very entertaining.
Yes. So is it going
Lots-
to be live streamed? That's what I wanted to ask you for
Well,
people
you
not in
know,
Chicago.
right. I think maybe not at the time, like in real time, but there will be a link. We'll use either Vimeo or Twitch or some platform to make sure that the world can get it before the holiday. I want it to be, you know, share this is something that the family can watch and engage in together. You know, I want to get back to families sitting down and, you know, having new holiday traditions that, you know, we're nutcrackered out, I'm sure, but just something that, you know, families of color can look at and be like, they look like me, or have a little girl be like, Mary looks like me. Maybe one day I can do that, you know, and
Yes.
because I know what that's like to not see any of yous, you know,
Boom.
people that look like you, and just wanting to change that exposure.
Okay. Well, I love what it is that you're doing,
You.
especially being brown. If anything I can do to help support, let me ask you about your website name again, and then if people wanted to help sponsor a kid, how do they get in contact with you?
So go to blackgirlsdance.org. There is a donate uh, tab at the top. You can donate, and we have different levels of sponsorship. If you want to sponsor a student, a beginning student, or you have like a village sponsorship, that's a trainee, a pre-professional. So this girl is going to be taking like 7 classes a week.
Wow.
And it really, you know, for me, I have a single mom, so I know how hard she worked in order to make sure I had the training that, you know, I desired and I needed. So I know that it's a sacrifice for some parents. So every little bit helps. And in the spirit of giving, in the spirit of just being that village for each other, no amount is too small. So I really, really appreciate just, you know, there's a PayPal donate button, there's a donate button at the top. Any way that you want, you can buy tickets to Mary and sponsor a family to attend. There's so many different ways. You can also reach me at blackgirlsdance.org at Gmail and ask me anything.
Yay. Last words of advice for any student.
You know, this dance life is not for the faint of heart, but it's something that you know is for you. And so you have to put the work in. There's no microwave YouTube video that will give you 10,000 hours that you need in order to hit that stage with the confidence and the awareness that you want. So put in the work, make it fun. Dance is fun. Put in the work, make it fun, find a support circle, create one. If you don't find one, make one. You know, find those relationships that you can rely on people during your journey, because that's going to be so important. Do not listen to naysayers, you know, journal so that you can also see your benchmarks of progress. I think that is so important, because a lot of times, you know, months and years go by and you're like, well, have I grown? You know, you may not be getting the accolades from your teachers, but you can go back to that journal and be like, oh my God, today I did 3 pirouettes on point, and celebrate yourself, and, you know, really listen to your teachers and just enjoy it, because it's really, really the best life. I'm so thankful and so blessed to have had the career that I did.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your journey
Thank
with us
you,
at
Dawn.
15 Minutes of Fame. I don't know what else to say, but keep going. You
Thank you.
inspire me. You've
Oh,
inspired others just from this video, trust me.
thank you.
Shout out to Debbie Allen. One day, hopefully I'll get to meet her.
Yes, I put that out there. She's coming. She's gonna be next.
She's coming. Oh,
Yes.
yes. Okay, well, thank you so much. Black Girls
Thank
Dance
you
with
so much.
Erin Barnett.
Yes.
Happy holidays and keep
Happy
going.
holidays to you too, Dawn. Thank
Thank
you.
you.